The chandelier overhead cast fractured light across the ballroom like broken promises. Jade Rivera stood near the bar, her scarlet silk gown clinging to her frame, the slit revealing a leg she kept shifting nervously. She didn't belong here. The emerald earrings she wore were borrowed, the confidence she projected was borrowed too. She was here to steal. Across the room, through the crowd of tuxedos and designer gowns, she spotted him. Dominic Cross. Steel gray suit, no tie, top button undone like he refused to play by their rules. His jaw was sharp enough to cut glass, his dark eyes scanning the room with the weariness of someone who'd seen too much. He was her target's business partner. The man she needed to avoid. Lot 47, a rare Cartier timepiece from 1924, the auctioneer announced. Jade moved through the crowd, her heels silent on marble floors. The study would be upstairs, third door on the left. She'd memorized the mansion's layout for weeks. Going once. She reached the grand staircase. Going twice. A hand caught her wrist. Firm. Warm. Running from someone or toward something. Dominic Cross stood behind her, his grip gentle but unyielding. Up close, she could see the scar cutting through his left eyebrow, the shadows under his eyes that spoke of sleepless nights. I needed air, Jade said, her pulse hammering. The balcony's that way. He nodded toward glass doors bathed in moonlight. Unless you're looking for something else. Their eyes locked. His were storm-dark, suspicious, searching. Maybe I'm looking for trouble, she whispered. Then you found it. His voice dropped lower. Because I don't believe a word you just said, and I'm going to find out exactly who you are. He released her wrist but didn't move. The staircase loomed behind her. Her mission was slipping away with every second she stood frozen. What's your name? He asked. Does it matter? It will. The auctioneer's gavel struck. Sold. Jade made her choice. She stepped closer instead of running, close enough to smell cedar and smoke on his skin. Then ask me again when you've earned it. She turned and walked back into the ballroom, feeling his eyes burning into her spine, knowing everything had just changed. Knowing he'd follow. 3 days later, Jade found Dominic waiting outside her apartment building. Rain hammered the cracked pavement, soaking his black leather jacket, dripping from his dark hair. He leaned against a motorcycle, arms crossed, looking like vengeance incarnated. Her stomach dropped. How did you find me? Her voice was steadier than her heartbeat. I'm good at finding things people want hidden. He pushed off the bike. Jade Rivera. Former art student. Currently working 3 jobs to pay off your brother's hospital bills. Desperate enough to take money from Marcus Chen to steal his competitor's files. The world tilted. She wore jeans and a weathered denim jacket tonight, her hair pulled back in a messy knot. No disguises. No borrowed elegance. Just her. You going to turn me in? She asked. I should. He stepped closer, rain streaming between them. Marcus Chen is using you. Those files you were hired to steal? They're evidence of his weapons trafficking. You'd be his fall guy. You're lying. Am I? His eyes held hers. Why do you think he chose someone with no criminal record? Someone sympathetic? When the authorities come, you take the blame, he walks free, and your brother loses his sister. Thunder cracked overhead. Jade's hands trembled. Miguel's medical bills were drowning her, the experimental treatment was his only chance, and Marcus had offered enough money to save him. I don't have a choice, she said, hating how broken she sounded. There's always a choice. Dominic's jaw tightened. I can help you. Why would you? Because 5 years ago, I made the same deal with Marcus. Except I didn't have someone to warn me. He lifted his shirt slightly, revealing a vicious scar across his ribs. I learned the hard way that Marcus doesn't leave loose ends. Jade's breath caught. What are you saying? Work with me instead. Help me take him down. I'll make sure your brother gets the treatment he needs. You're asking me to betray the only person offering to save Miguel's life. I'm asking you to trust the person trying to save yours. Rain plastered her hair to her face. Everything she thought she knew was fragmenting like the puddles under their feet. I don't even know you, she whispered. Dominic reached out, his fingers barely brushing her cheek, wiping away rain or tears, she couldn't tell. Then let me in. Behind them, headlights pierced the darkness. A black SUV rolled to a stop. Marcus Chen's voice carried through the open window. Jade. We need to talk. Now. Dominic's hand dropped. His expression hardened into something dangerous. Choose, he said quietly. Him or me. There's no going back after this. Jade looked between them. The man who'd promised salvation. The man who promised truth. She'd been making the wrong choices her whole life. Time to start making the right ones. Atment. I'll find another way. There is no other way. She walked back to Dominic. His hand found hers, warm and solid and real. Marcus's door slammed. The SUV peeled away, leaving them standing in the rain like survivors of a shipwreck. You just made a powerful enemy, Dominic said. Then we better move fast. For 2 weeks, they worked in shadows. Dominic's apartment became their war room, walls covered in photos and documents connecting Marcus's legitimate businesses to his underground operations. Jade wore oversized sweaters and leggings, her hair always tied back, exhaustion permanent under her eyes as they worked through nights. Dominic taught her how to read encrypted files, how to spot money laundering patterns. They survived on coffee and takeout, their hands brushing over keyboards, their proximity becoming comfortable, then dangerous. Why did you really help me? She asked one night, city lights painting gold across his tired features. He wore a simple gray Henley, sleeves pushed up to his elbows, revealing more scars she'd never asked about. Because Marcus took 5 years of my life, he said, not looking up from his laptop. I watched him destroy families, ruin lives, and I was too afraid to stop him. When I saw you at that auction, I saw my second chance. I'm not your redemption, Dominic. No. He finally met her eyes. You're the reason I want to be redeemed. The air between them crackled. Jade leaned forward, her lips almost brushing his when his phone shattered the moment. A hospital. Miguel's hospital. Miss Rivera? Your brother's treatment has been fully funded by an anonymous donor. He starts tomorrow. Jade's blood turned to ice. Dominic was already on his feet, grabbing his jacket. It's a trap. Marcus knows we're coming. I don't care. Jade stood, her borrowed hope crystallizing into steel. My brother lives. That was the point of all this. At what cost? Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. A photo of Dominic from years ago, younger, shaking Marcus's hand. Behind them, a warehouse burning. The message read, "Ask him about the Valdez family fire. Ask him how many children didn't make it out. Then decide who the real monster is." Jade's hands shook as she showed him the screen. Dominic's face drained of color. Jade, I can explain. The Valdez fire made national news. 12 people died. They said it was arson. Her voice cracked. Tell me you weren't part of that. I was Marcus's security. I didn't know what he planned. When I found out, I tried to stop it, but I was too late. His eyes were raw, pleading. That's why I've spent 5 years trying to take him down. That's my sin, Jade. The one I can't wash away. You let children die. I carry them with me every single day. She staggered back, the man she'd started to trust dissolving into something she couldn't recognize. "Get out," she whispered. "Jade, please. Get out." He left without another word, the door closing with the finality of a coffin lid. Jade collapsed against the wall, surrounded by their investigation, their partnership, their almost kiss still burning on her lips. Her phone rang. "Marcus. Now that you know the truth about your hero," his voice was silk over razor blades, "let's discuss how you're going to finish our original arrangement." The warehouse smelled of rust and regret. Jade stood in its center wearing dark tactical pants and a fitted black jacket Dominic had given her weeks ago, before everything shattered. Before she knew what he'd done. Marcus circled her like a shark. Tailored navy suit, not a hair out of place, gold watch catching the single overhead light. "The files are on this drive," she said, holding up the USB. "Everything Dominic collected on your operations." "And Dominic himself?" "Gone. I told him to run." Marcus smiled. "You're lying. You're still protecting him." "I'm protecting my brother." "By giving me what I want, you mean?" Marcus extended his hand. "Though I have to admit, I'm disappointed. I thought you had more spine than this." Jade's fingers tightened on the drive. "Miguel's treatment is guaranteed? No matter what happens to me? You have my word." "Your word means nothing." The voice came from the shadows. Dominic emerged, dressed in all black, his face a mask of controlled fury. He moved like violence barely contained. "You couldn't stay away," Marcus said, delighted. "Love does make fools of us all." "This isn't about love," Dominic said, but his eyes found Jade's. The hurt there was worse than any accusation. "This is about ending you." "With what?" "The evidence Jade just handed me." Marcus held up the drive she'd given him. "Or did you think I wouldn't verify it first?" He crushed it under his heel. Jade's heart stopped. "The real files," Marcus continued, "are still in Dominic's possession. Which means I still have leverage." He pulled a gun, aiming it at Jade. "Hand them over, or she pays for your sins." Again. "Don't," Jade said, hating the tremor in her voice. "Don't give him anything." Dominic's jaw worked. "The Valdez family haunts me every day. I won't add you to that list." "So you'll let him win?" "I'll let you live." Marcus laughed. "How touching. The killer has a conscience." "I was never a killer," Dominic said quietly, reaching into his jacket. "But I learned from the best how to think like one." He pulled out his phone, pressed a button. Every screen in the warehouse blazed to life. Security footage. Financial records. Recorded conversations. All of Marcus's crimes, broadcasting to every law enforcement agency in the state. "I uploaded everything an hour ago," Dominic said. "The warehouse is surrounded. You're done." Marcus's gun swung toward Dominic. The shot echoed like thunder. Jade screamed, but Dominic was already moving, tackling Marcus to the ground. The gun skittered across concrete. Jade lunged for it, her hands closing around cold metal as police sirens wailed closer. Both men fought, brutal and desperate. Marcus broke free, stumbling toward the back exit. Jade raised the gun. "Let him go," Dominic said, blood streaming from his temple. "The cops will get him. He'll slip away. Men like him always do. Then we'll find him again. But not like this." Dominic's hand covered hers on the weapon. "Not by becoming what we're fighting." Marcus disappeared into the night. Police flooded in seconds later. In the chaos, Dominic pulled Jade close, his forehead resting against hers. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "For the fire. For every mistake that led to this moment. For not being the man you deserved. You gave up your revenge for me," she said, tears streaming. You let him escape. Because losing you would be worse than anything Marcus could ever do. An officer approached. Dominic Cross? We need you to come with us. You're a material witness. As they led him away, Jade's phone buzzed. The hospital. Miguel's treatment was complete. Successful. He'd live. She'd won everything and lost the only thing that mattered. Dominic looked back one last time before disappearing into the police car. His eyes held a promise she couldn't read. The warehouse emptied. Jade stood alone in the ruins of their war, wondering if redemption was ever truly possible. Or if some sins were too heavy to ever put down. 6 months later, Jade sat in a cafe where autumn light filtered through windows like liquid gold. She wore a simple cream sweater and jeans, her hair loose around her shoulders. Peaceful. Almost. The bell above the door chimed. Dominic walked in, and her breath caught like it always did. He wore a dark blue button-down and black jeans, his face leaner, harder, but his eyes still held that same storm. You came, he said, sliding into the seat across from her. You asked. They'd communicated through lawyers for months. Dominic had testified against Marcus's entire network. The case was still ongoing, but Marcus was behind bars. Dominic had been cleared of involvement in the Valdez fire after evidence proved he tried to warn the family, had pulled 2 children out himself before the structure collapsed. It didn't erase the 8 who died. Nothing ever would. How's Miguel? Dominic asked. Cancer-free. He starts college next semester. Jade's fingers traced her coffee cup. He asks about you. What do you tell him? The truth. That you saved our lives. I nearly destroyed them. Stop. Jade leaned forward. I spent 6 months hating you for the Valdez fire. Then I spent 6 months hating myself for hating you when I knew the whole story. I'm done with hate, Dominic. It's exhausting. His hand reached across the table, stopping just short of hers. I don't deserve forgiveness. Maybe not. She closed the distance, her fingers intertwining with his. But you deserve a chance to live with what you did instead of dying from it. I don't know how. Neither do I. But we could figure it out together. Dominic's eyes searched hers. You'd want that? After everything? I want the man who chose my life over his revenge. I want the person who carries his sins so he never commits them again. She squeezed his hand. I want you, Dominic. The broken parts, the guilty parts, all of it. I'm not fixed, Jade. I might never be. Neither am I. Maybe that's the point. He stood, pulling her up with him, his hands framing her face like she was something precious and terrifying. I'll spend every day trying to be worth this, he said. Just spend every day being honest. That's all I ask. He kissed her then, soft and devastating, tasting like second chances and hard-won hope. Outside, the city moved on, indifferent to their small miracle. Inside, 2 people who'd walked through fire found something worth rebuilding for. When they finally pulled apart, Jade rested her forehead against his. We're going to mess this up sometimes, she whispered. Probably. We're going to hurt each other. Definitely. And we're going to have to live with what we've done. Every single day. He pulled back enough to meet her eyes. But I'd rather live with it next to you than die from it alone. She smiled, real and true and devastating. Then let's start living. They walked out of the cafe hand in hand, into October sunshine that felt like forgiveness neither of them had earned but both were learning to accept. Behind them, the past remained. Heavy. Unforgiving. Real. Ahead of them, the future waited. Uncertain. Complicated. Theirs. Sometimes redemption wasn't about erasing sins. It was about carrying them forward with someone who understood the weight. Sometimes love wasn't about perfection. It was about choosing each other despite the scars. And sometimes, the people who'd walked through darkness together were the only ones who could find the light. Dominic and Jade had a long road ahead. More trials. More testimony. More nights haunted by ghosts that would never fully rest. But they'd walk it together. And that, for now, was enough. The end.